I'm hoping recording. Okay, so right now what we're going to do is we're going to go into a Kahoot, and I want to see how you're doing with the perspectives. Can you see? Oh, okay. Nice. Okay. Oh, Mrs. Steve's bro. Yeah. Okay, ready? I know some of you aren't on, but the code will still be up. Okay, that's pretty good. So when we look at the behavioral perspective, and actually what I'd like you to do, and I'll give you a minute to do this, is go back to your notes from February 21st and 24th. I think you took notes on the psych perspectives. At least that's what I had gathered, and we're going to just add to that. Because it's really important that we understand these perspectives before we get into treatment. So again, I believe that's February 21st and 24th. It would be the first day of the disorders notes. Okay, so when you think of behavioral, I want you to think of everything that we learned in our learning unit. So that is all classical conditioning, operant conditioning, observational learning. Okay, so we had looked at, remember the behaviorists thought that we only would look at observable behavior. So that's where it comes with this behaviorism. And we'll be looking at this with disorders on the behaviors and how they contribute to the disorders. Good. And natural selection is going to be part of the evolutionary perspective. So when we look at how we explain thoughts and behaviors, we look at how it enabled our survival, which is often done through natural selection. So some examples I've given in the past would be our tastes, that we have sweet, salty, bitter, and sour, and then umami. But sweet and salty we tend to favor. And then bitter would tell us it was bitter, and sour told us it was poisonous or rotten. So if we had those, we would eat something, spit it out, and then we'd have a better chance of surviving. Okay, so this is a common error, is cognitive versus psychodynamic. So cognitive is going to be our thoughts, the way in which we process information. But the thing with cognitive is that we are aware of it. Psychodynamic focuses on the unconscious mind. So this was everything that you learned about in personality that had to do with Freud. Okay, so Freud looked at the unconscious mind, the id, ego, superego, defense mechanisms. That is what we'd be looking at with psychodynamic. So anytime you see the unconscious, okay, we need to think psychodynamic or psychoanalytic. And one way to access the unconscious is through dream interpretation. That cognitive, we would just ask you what you're thinking. Okay, so again, when we see unconscious, we want to think of psychodynamic. Okay, anytime you see that, you only think psychodynamic. With biological, it's going to have to do with the brain and the body and genetics. Okay, so this is different from evolution because evolution is hundreds of years, where genetics is just going to be passing down from your biological parents. Yeah, biopsychosocial. That's actually kind of a bad question. But we had talked about it with the biopsychosocial levels. I'll have to change that. Just wait. Okay, I'll come and help you after I'm done with this. Okay, so yep, Skinner. So we look at the learning or the people from the learning unit. So Wundt is actually the father of psychology. We haven't looked at him. Rogers is going to be humanism, and then Freud is going to be psychoanalytic. Okay, so humanism is going to be, you learned about him in personality. We also learned about in motivation with Maslow, and looking at the hierarchy of needs. And we have that love and acceptance that we have to feel that we belong. So that's going to be that humanistic perspective. Emotional is not a perspective. Good, humanistic. Okay, so the hierarchy of needs, and if you can think of humanistic as kind of being huggy, humanistic is huggy. Like you just want to give people a big hug so they feel like they belong. Good. Okay. Yep. So Carl Rogers, we'll definitely learn more about him with therapy. So again, with the humanistic perspective being the kind of acceptance of the person. Okay, so I think we definitely need to review this. And again, we're doing this because it's important with the treatment. Nice job. Okay, so I see we're still on the whole mulch thing. That's great. Kind of thought it would just go away, but I guess not. Okay, so here's what we're going to do, okay, is I want you to, again, be in your notes because I don't want you to write a bunch of unnecessary stuff. But what our main purpose today, okay, is to be looking at the perspectives. And again, this is just kind of bridging between the it's bridging between treatment and the disorders, because with the disorders, you should have looked at it from multiple perspectives and how the disorders are going to develop. So here, what we're going to do is if we look at, I'm just going to quick look at this blind man and an elephant. And what we're looking at here is how people had different perspectives of the same no, I don't want to do this. Different perspectives of the same problem. Okay, so it was 6 men of Indostan to learning much inclined, who went to see the elephant, though all of them were blind, that each by observation might satisfy his mind. So the first approached the elephant and happened to fall against the broad and sturdy side, at once began to bawl, God bless me, but the elephant is nothing but a wall. The second feeling of the tusk cried, Ho, what have we here? So very round and smooth and sharp, to me 'tis mighty clear. This wonder of an elephant is very like a spear. The third approached the animal, and happening to take the squirming trunk within his hands, I see, quoth he, the elephant is very like a snake. Okay, so it continues to go on with the other perspectives. So here, again, if we look at our problem, so we look at something like, an anxiety disorder, okay, we can look at it from a biological perspective. Okay, we can look at it from a psychodynamic perspective. So we're looking at the same elephant, but we're explaining it from different lenses. That's really what these perspectives are. Okay, so here, when we look at the treatment of disorders, we're going to be using multiple perspectives to explain these complex behaviors. Okay, so we have nature versus nurture, and we have the biopsychosocial approach. So we explain nature and nurture. We've already done that. So how we look at it from an environmental side as well as a biological, and then we look at it from the biopsychosocial approach, which is going to be here. Okay, how we have the bio, looking at it from disease, symptoms, pathology, psycho or psychological, depression, guilt, anxiety, and then social, the different things that are in a person's life. Okay, but here's where we're focusing on. Okay, is this eclectic approach? And I would like you to jot that down, that you know what eclectic means. So what eclectic is that we use many different perspectives. So if somebody had an eclectic style, they may have, clothes that are kind of bohemian, but then they also may kind of dress like in sporty clothes, and then maybe some preppy clothes. We would say they have an eclectic style because they dress in many different fashions. So here's how I have this organized. And I'm going to put so I can see here the comments. Okay, let's save the comments just for like actual things here. Okay, so it's not getting overwhelming for people. Okay, so here, what we have is we're going to start with biological. And I'm just going to go through this quickly. If you have questions, please let me know via the comments. Okay. So to start with the biological approach or perspective, I use approach and perspective interchangeably. Okay, what we have here, the main thing I want you to look at is the body and brain. So how do they affect your thoughts and behaviors? So if you see anything, okay, that has to do with a part of like a system in the body, a part of the brain, neurotransmitters, genes, or heredity, you have to think biological. Okay, so these are going to be the key terms that I want you to associate with that. Okay, then with cognitive, anything that has to do with perceiving and interpreting. This is different from psychodynamic because we are aware that we are thinking these things. Okay, how do I reason? What do I believe? When we look at Freud and the unconscious, I don't know that I'm thinking that because I'm not aware of it. Okay, then we have the behavioral perspective. This is everything from our learning unit. Okay, so you can see here you have the rewards, punishments, and conditioning and learning, and things with the environment as well. Now here's the one that you seem to get tripped up on. Okay, and this is what usually happens. Okay, but anything that has to do with the unconscious mind and our childhood experiences. So you can see here the list of keywords that you would want to add to the presentation. What do I mean by childhood experiences? Freud would have thought that the first 5 years of life were the most influential. And if something happened there, whether it be good or bad, it impacts you forever. And you're going to be dealing with that. Okay, so looking at like a childhood trauma, for example. Okay, and then humanistic is our human growth and potential. Okay, so how does our self, free will, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, our choices influence our thoughts and behaviors? And then sociocultural, this is going to be looking at how culture and society influence our behaviors. So a popular example I like to use is girls and boys toys. Okay, so how do I know that a toy is made for girls? How do I know it's made for boys? If I were to go into the girls' toy aisle, it's all pink and purple. If I go into the boys, it's like blue and black and stuff shooting at you. Okay, so that is, created by society. And then we have evolution. Okay, and here's the keywords you would see: natural selection, ancestors, and it's a very slow process. Okay, so I'm going to keep this up, or you can open this up as well. But what I'd like you to do right now, and we're going to review this before we go, I want you to go on to Schoology, okay, because that's my Amazon, sorry. I want to go to Schoology, if I can find it. Okay, if you go to Schoology, I want you to go into Perspectives Practice. Okay, so if you go into Perspectives Practice, okay, and this is going to be an assignment that you can submit, okay, but we're going to work on it right now. So I'll give you a minute to open that up. Okay, so now that you have that document open, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the first part together. And what I'd like you to do is you're going to read about Mel. And I'll just read it quick so I can show you what we're going to be doing here. So Mel began drinking alcohol when he was 12 years old. At first, he just drank with his friends. After a while, though, he began drinking alone. By the time Mel reached age 30, he would drink when he was sad, he would drink when he was happy, and he would drink when he was lonely. He began experiencing problems at home. His wife would constantly fight with him, and the children didn't want to be around him. He began experiencing problems at work too. He missed several days of work and would forget to complete assignments. Mel realized he had a problem. So here's what you're going to do. Using the examples of Mel, try to decide which approaches best matched with what psychologists want to know about Mel. So you're going to underline the key words, okay, and then you're going to decide on the perspective. So if I look at here, I want to know if Mel's family has a history of alcoholism and how efficiently Mel's brain processes alcohol. So I underlined those key terms, and then I would decide what approach it is, and I'd put it here in the red. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. Pass. Pass. When is prom? What is the date? This does not mean that this is a confirmation. I'm just curious. Ooh, yeah. We'll pass on that too. Okay, if you can just put like an X when you're done with this, so I just know where we're at. Okay, so I'm not sure, I forgot to point out the key, but you can look here with the key. Now, is there any, and number one should be biological approach. I didn't change that, I'm sorry. So are there any questions on any of these 7? All right. So, can two also be sociocultural? What I want you to think, that's a great question because behavioral and sociocultural often mixed up. What I want you to think is behavioral is your small environment. So if you look at like your school environment, if you look at your home environment, it's more unique to you, where social cultural is more you would share with your entire society. So you'd look at the United States, the West. If you look at specific ethnic cultural practices, that is more of a bigger idea than the behavioral. Any other questions on this? Uh, right now, the test is set for next Thursday and Friday, but I might be moving the test because I'm just kind of trying to figure out the transition here. Okay, so again, if you're confused on anything, go ahead and go through these perspectives and the key terms. And what I'd like you to, oh, no, 2 weeks. Yeah. So what is it, April 2nd and 3rd? That's what's on the schedule. Yeah, April 2nd and 3rd. So yeah, nothing after today. So here's what I'd like you to do for homework because I didn't go over this. One thing I have done is I kind of do the intro stuff at the end just because we have some background knowledge of it. So what I'd like you to do is you can go to pages 3 to 7 and I want you to know what these definitions are. Okay, and looking at what the big idea is, and you'll recognize most of the names that we've been seeing. Okay, so that's going to be the last part of what we'll do today. Also, just to, before I forget, I would like you to go to the second part of the perspectives. Okay, so if you look at the perspectives, we have part 1 that we did. Now it is a little bit harder to do SAMI. Okay, so what I'll have you do is I'll have you answer those, and then you can go and look at what I had written down, and then submit this assignment. If you have specific questions, you can shoot me an email. Okay, so again, you're going to do part 2, check the answer key, and then if you have specific questions or confused on anything, you can email me. Now, before we go, is there anything from the last 8 weeks that you have questions on that you want me to review? Maybe there was something that was just a harder topic. I know that motivation, emotion, and stress and personality has a lot of different theories, so that can be kind of complex, but it would help me. Okay, so if you do have any, yes, you're doing part 3. That's the homework that I assigned that was on the slide. Okay, so again, what your task is to do parts 1, 2, and 3. Important people, yes, we will go over the important people as part of the review. So I'll make sure that we'll be doing that. So we're going to continue then with psych disorders or clinical psych, go over social psychology, and then we'll have a review for the important people. I know that's always kind of a stressful topic. Okay. So again, the goal of today really was just to transition, make sure that you understood the perspectives, just kind of enhance. Had you done any, and I should have asked this at the beginning, did you do any of the application or did you just kind of review this? What one packet? The application that I just, oh, okay, yep, you did the diagnosing disorders. I meant, did you do anything on the perspectives? Okay, that's my main thing. And again, this is important because it's part of the intro unit. It's part of kind of embedded throughout. Good. And I know I should have asked that. I'm just getting back into not really talking except to my family for the past 8 weeks. So there'll be a transition. So if there are no other questions, again, complete the perspectives, put the information in your notes, and then I'll see you after spring break. You don't have to attend the Monday after break. I'll see you on that Tuesday, and we're going to be getting started with new content, which is treatment. And I will send a remind out when I have your psych disorders tests updated, so you can go and look at those. Okay, any questions? That's sweet, Quinn. Say bye. I have the loudest baby ever. He just grunts and grinds. Oh, he puked on me. All right, see ya, everybody. We'll end with that.
Bye, Miss Severson.
Bye.
Bye, later.
Bye, class.
Bye, Thomas. Bye, Miss Severson.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Say bye.
Have
Bye.
fun.
Yeah. Mike's back.
Michael, you just joined?
He was in there.
Wait, can we stay in this after you leave, Miss Stevenson?
I can leave it open if you really want to.
Yeah, leave it open.
Wait,
Do that.
what was the? Can you for the part 3? Are we just defining those things?
Yeah, just go in and look, and I just want you to be familiar with what kind of the history of psychology was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Can
All
Ryan
right,
turn his mulch thing now?
Yeah, Ryan, present your mulch presentation.
Shut up, Bafton.
All right. See ya.
No, did Sean leave?
Oh,
Wait, what?
he did.
No.
Sean, I miss you.
Come on.
Sean,
Thank
bye.
you.
Oh, you're
Miss you
right.
too.
Look at it's little
Yeah,
baby
right?
Sean.
I miss you so much, Sean.
okay. I'm really struggling with. I did try the reflexes. He has the Moro still. Let's see.
If you like,
Good
you like
question,
fake punch
Ty.
at him, does it
Really good
flinch?
question.
If you like fake punch him, does he flinch?
There's the startle reflex.
Oh,
Have you tried
Right?
shaking it yet?
I don't know.
Aw,
if the-
Ty. Ty, I miss you too.
Look at. Nope, I think that one might be gone. He's 8 weeks old today, so maybe they're curling a little bit.
All right, bye, Miss Severson.
Poor Thomas. Okay, bye.
man.
Wait, if Miss Severson's
What
ends
is-
it, can we still
What
stay in
the?
here?
What just happened?
That's awesome.
I'm very.
Nolan!
Sean. Oh, is Ryan still in this?
All I want to do is. Oh, I can see you all here.
I
Okay,
guess Siri's
stop
here.
presenting.
Siri, show yourself.
I can't shut off the record.
Look at Siri. She's just
Oh,
Great.
muted up. Don't worry, we'll stay here till it
on your
ends.
pin.
Oh, there we go.